Okay, I think I'm live. Live video is starting, but is it started? I still can't really tell. Now I'm live. Okay. So, this is this week's metabolic health lesson. And the reason it's Thursday instead of Wednesday was, as you might see if you see posts below, I was in Olympia yesterday. I'm not generally very political, but I do very, very much believe in ranked choice voting. Fair Vote Washington is the organization, which happens to be led by my sister Lisa, and I totally believe in what they're doing. It's the biggest hope to save democracy, have voting work better for all of us. And the good news is that with yesterday's rally, the Washington Voices Act, Voices is an acronym, so it's all capital letters, but it relates to ranked choice voting, moving just one little inch forward in this process. It's maybe going to take several years, but there's progress. It got a hearing, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, that's ranked choice voting. Check into Fair Vote Washington if you're not already familiar with it, or Fair Vote, whatever your state is, if you're in the US. And for metabolic health, so I wanted to talk a little bit. I mentioned in a video a couple days ago about that I'll be talking about some critiques as well as some things that I agree with on a recent, Netflix series that is promoting vegetarianism and actually veganism. And I have a lot of problems with that, but I do like some of the things about the documentary, and I have a lot of critiques about some. So one of them I'll mention a little bit today, and I'll be talking. I have like 5 or 6 pages of notes on things that I'd like to share for you to consider about that. And I won't go into all of that today. But I've been wanting to talk about fasting for a while, and it actually relates to one of my critiques of the documentary, and it is it's a very important topic of muscle, and particularly, I'm a midlife woman. As you may have heard me say, I consider midlife like 30s well into 70s, if not beyond. um, I'm a midlife woman, and pretty much all of my clients are midlife women usually. And we have a tougher time maintaining muscle, let alone putting on muscle. And muscle is very, very, very important for general health as we age, and it's very important for metabolic health. Um, so we cannot afford to lose muscle, and putting on muscle needs to be done in the right way and kind of at the right time when your body's ready for it. But so I'm not going to talk about like how to put on muscle today, but so fasting, there is a concern, same with veganism, of losing muscle. And as far as fasting goes, I still am a huge fan of fasting done in the right way. And there's a lot of variations of fasting, and many of those variations can be quite wonderful tool for helping your health, including for losing weight, but especially for your metabolic health, decreasing inflammation, even promoting stem cell growth. Lots of really wonderful health benefits. And it can be done poorly, quite easily, in a way that leads to muscle loss, lowering your metabolism. You can do it in a way that raises your metabolism. You can do it in a way that lowers your metabolism. But yeah, it can contribute to muscle loss. So you have to be really careful about how you do fasting. And I'm not going to go into a long thing about fasting today. If you're interested in more in fasting, I did last summer a webinar on that, and it's available on my website. Pay what you can. You can go there, wellnesswisdomforwomen.com. It's under events. But now it was a live event last summer, and now it's just there as a recording. So I have an hour where I talk about fasting if you're interested in more. But so it needs to be done the right way. You need to prepare your body first. For one thing, you need to address insulin resistance first, because if you have high insulin levels and then you go either on a diet, chronic calorie restriction, which I do not recommend, or right into fasting, but you have high insulin levels, it's going to be harder for your body. It's going to be almost impossible for your body to access fat for fuel, and you are going to lose more muscle and not as much fat from the same fast that somebody else, if they were doing the same fast but they have good insulin sensitivity and low levels of insulin, they and more adapted to being able to burn fat, which takes a little time to prep first, they could fast and lose just a little bit of muscle and mostly fat and have much better health outcome. Anytime you fast, you're going to, anytime you lose weight, you're going to lose a little bit of both. You can't really avoid losing a little bit of muscle when you're losing weight, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be a problem, because you can put it back on when things are working in the right way, and the muscle loss can be minimized. You want to minimize the muscle loss, maximize the fat loss. So if you haven't dealt with insulin resistance yet, and more than half of the adults in certainly the Western world these days are insulin resistant to some degree, so you got to address that first, with any approach to weight loss, whether you're using fasting or not, and you can do it without fasting as well. So you got to address the insulin resistance. I also think of fast, so you got to prepare your body. Part of that is addressing the insulin resistance, making sure you are not nutrient depleted starting out, because many of us, even if you're overweight, probably most of us have nutrient deficiencies. Our weight has nothing to do with whether or not we have nutrient deficiencies. So you want to address nutrient deficiencies first, making sure you're getting enough protein to support the muscle. But so along with those thoughts, I also want to say that I think of fasting kind of like exercise. Exercise is a stress on the body, so is fasting. That does not mean, in either case, it does not mean it's bad. Stress can be beneficial if it's not overdone, if the body's prepared for it, if you have the right recovery afterwards. And that's how fasting can work. And also both stress, fasting and exercise, I also think of as being similar in that they both have a variety of incredible wellness benefits to them. And they are not what you should focus on to lose weight. Exercise is not, it can be part certainly of the weight loss picture, especially of the maintaining weight loss. It's part of that picture. Do not expect to lose weight in a healthy way by focusing on exercise. You have to focus on the foods you're eating, the quality of the foods, the timing, hormone balance. That's the stuff to focus on. And then exercise has huge benefits, a little bit for weight management, but more for mood, for your immune system, lymphatic flow. If you're out walking during the day, it helps your circadian rhythm, keeps your mitochondria in your cells happy. It's good for your joints. It's good for so many things. And again, very importantly, your brain health and mood, even memory. But weight loss is not at the top of the list with exercise. And same with fasting. Fasting has lots of benefits. Again, it can bring down inflammation. It can help with bringing down insulin levels, which is very helpful. It can help stimulate stem cell production for healing. It can help your gut health. It can help with hormone balancing done in the right way. And it can help with weight loss, particularly, again, done in the right way. It can help kind of get a weight loss plateau moving again. But you don't want to focus on fasting as a way to lose weight. It's a metabolic health tool and the weight loss comes more as the byproduct of improving your metabolic health. So I wanted to share those thoughts about fasting. Also, and so in the documentary, they kind of gloss over at the end, but in the last episode, you'll notice that pretty much all the, it's a twin study looking at a bunch of pairs of twins and putting one on a vegan diet and one on a omnivore diet. And for one thing, it's only 8 week study, so that's limiting already there. You can't draw a lot of conclusions from 8 weeks. Even if there are health benefits, that doesn't mean they're going to continue in a sustainable way when it's taken on a longer term. But also, there was some pretty significant muscle loss and less fat loss in basically in the vegan groups. The one that I remember who did manage to put on some muscle with the vegan diet, which is great, and they made a big deal out of how awesome that was. But number one, his twin brother on the omnivore diet gained about 3 times as much muscle in that same time period. And it's also a young man who had no fat to lose. That's the other thing with muscle loss, and I'll get to that in a second. But younger people have an easier time putting on muscle. Men have an easier time than women putting on muscle. So that's wonderful that this young man, very athletic, no body fat to lose in the first place, on a vegan diet for 8 weeks was able to put on a couple pounds of muscle with a lot of, muscle resistant workouts. And they made a big deal out of it. But the overall message, when you look at the pairs that they actually reported on, muscle loss was a serious issue for all of the vegan diet participants except for that one. And that's very concerning to me, because especially as midlife women, we cannot afford to lose muscle, and a vegan diet does not help us in that respect. You might be able to do vegan healthy with very careful supplementation, but it's going to be more challenging. And the other thing I was going to say, what I was reminded of a minute ago, was if you are not trying to lose weight and you don't have excess fat that you want to burn off, you'll have a better chance of doing okay on a vegan or vegetarian diet, because you have the flexibility to eat enough to get the protein you will need to not lose muscle. But the vegan proteins come, unlike the animal-based proteins, the vegan proteins come with a lot more calories, particularly carbs, along with, in order to get enough protein, you end up having to consume a lot more carbs, basically. So if you're trying to lose, and that can be very problematic, again, especially if you have insulin resistance. So you really have to take all of these things into consideration. And I hope if you are vegetarian or vegan that you are paying attention to monitoring your muscle mass. You can get a DEXA scan. You can Google DEXA scan near me for a lot of people, not everybody, I'm sure. But certainly if you're in an urban area, I think you should be able to find someplace near you where you could go in and pay something and get a DEXA scan. You might belong to a gym that has some kind of a scan system. There's different ways you can get measurements, but they're not necessarily super accurate, but you can get like body impedance scales that don't just tell you the weight, but give you at least a little bit of information about how much of your weight is fat tissue versus muscle. And again, especially for midlife women, I would really encourage you to start looking into monitoring this, because you want to focus not on the number on the bathroom scale, because if that goes down, but that's going down because you're losing muscle, you are not helping your health. You need to lose fat if that's the case, and you need to either maintain, or ideally for most of us, we need to gain muscle. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And fasting can contribute to that, again, if it's done in the right way, or it can make things worse if it's not done in the right way. So that's it for today. And oh, let's see. Hi, Sherry. You're watching me live and I can see your comment. I haven't always been able to do that. Thank you for saying hello. Thank you for being here with me live. And for those of you who are not here with me live but watching the recording, I really would love to see your comments, hear your thoughts, questions, and do another metabolic health lesson next week. See you next time.